Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back for a Thursday edition of the Steel City Sports Report, where we talk about everything Steelers, Penguins, and Pirates. I am your host, Brady Vini. We are inching closer, ladies and gentlemen, to the Steelers' second and lone preseason game at home this upcoming weekend against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Lots to look forward to in that one, but before we get there, today, the Steelers and Buccaneers meeting at Acrisure Stadium ahead of Saturday for a joint practice. Now, up until about an hour ago, no one knew what exactly was going on in that joint practice. It was closed off to the public and the media under, restricted guidelines by the teams and the NFL. They were not allowed to report much of anything unless what they saw was confirmed by a player. We did hear a little bit of what all went on at that joint practice today. We will start off with that in a moment. Also, head coach Mike Tomlin and assistant general manager for the Pittsburgh Steelers, Andy Weidel, speaking ahead of the joint practice today. What all those two men had to say, we will get into as well, and anything else that we come across along the way. First thing is first, if you're new here to the channel, please subscribe and turn on notifications so that you never miss when I am live again. Also, feel free to leave a like and share this live stream, as well as leave a comment in the comment section. Any thoughts, questions, opinions that you may have, I can pop up on the screen just like this, and we can interact that way. Also, go give me a follow on the following social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, and X, and be sure to come back later tonight for a new edition of SCSR 60. Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be pretty much a abbreviated version of the live stream here tonight. Not too much going down. Pittsburgh Pirates off tonight. Pittsburgh Penguins radio silence. And with the Steelers, not being in action yesterday or tomorrow ahead of their preseason game, we are going to focus mainly on them today with the news. And we start with what all went down at that joint practice at Acrisure Stadium today between the Buccaneers and Steelers. Like I said, heading into today, the Steelers joint practice updates from the practice, they were very scarce, and they only started to roll in as of about an hour ago. No observations of practice were to be released by any of the beat writers there unless confirmed by players. So someone could have gotten hurt. The Steelers could have, there could have been fights. There could have been the Steelers, blowing out the Buccaneers in this practice. We would not have known about it up until about an hour ago. What we did know, though, right here, is that a special guest was in the house at Acrisure Stadium to watch on here. And how about those two legends right there? The past and the present, about to join the past here after this season, together in one photo. I think I saw someone say 127,000 passing yards between the two gentlemen in this picture. Ben Roethlisberger down there with his two sons at Acrisure Stadium today. There was another picture and video floating out there before practice when Ben was there. I think he stayed to watch what all happened after the fact, but was down there on the field talking with Omar Khan, was talking with Chris Boswell. I'm sure he, dapped up and did a quick catch-up with some of his other former teammates. Mike Tomlin stopped by, had a quick conversation with Ben and his boys. So great to see Seven back down there in the place that he called home for over a decade. We still love you, Seven. We miss you every day. I mean, hell, that's exactly what the quarterback situation has been since Ben left. Hell, moving into what happened today at practice. Again, this everything that is going to be said here, we can't get too in deep on it. There haven't been any pictures or videos or very detailed recounts of what all went on at that practice today. Pat Freiermuth saying that the Steelers offense in 7 shots, they did do 7 shots against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, their 4th goal drill from the 2-yard line. The Steelers offense dominating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense 6-1. I don't know any other team in the NFL that does a 7-shot drill just like the Steelers, but the Steelers going against the Bucs defense, assuming that they have barely done any, 4th and goal type drills in training camp, I would expect the Steelers defense to dominate that way. The 2-minute drill, however, that was a different story. Going back to the past week or so of training camp, we heard that the Steelers 2-minute drill, the first team offense, they would go down the field and then sometimes they would cap it off with a field goal. A couple other times, Juan Thornhill ended it with an interception. Today's 2-minute drill against a new team in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Steelers did not even get a first down. Pat Freiermuth confirming that as well. DK Metcalf in there had a dropped pass. The overall sentiment, according to Freiermuth, was that the Steelers' offense needed to clean a bunch of stuff up. That was confirmed as well by a couple of other players as well. Many of the offensive line group and running backs all similarly said that they would like to see the run game have more success, and I'm sure they will, be pounding the rock a bunch here come Saturday night. Zach Frazier speaking out in specifics here, saying that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense sent a lot of blitzes their way. Would not doubt if Mike Tomlin, said to Todd Bowles, hey, can your boys dial up some pressure against, my offensive line here? I want to see how they do in the running game. I think that's one of the things that the Steelers have not had as much success in over the years, running against the blitz. So that was a problem today, it looked like. A couple other notes from the joint practice here today in no particular order. With two teams going up against each other, two different teams, that is, there is bound to be some hostility, and I'm sure some of this will carry over into Saturday night. We did have at least one big scrum. I'm pretty sure a ton of people would have put wagers on, seeing a fight or two during this joint practice. But where that fight came from was an odd place to come from. Cam Johnston, the Steelers punter, currently in a punting competition, allegedly, with Cortlis Waitman. He's the one who got the fight started today. Apparently, there was a special teams rep where Johnson got a punt off, and one of the Buccaneers players came crashing in too close to his plant leg, which, if you remember, ladies and gentlemen, Johnston missing all of last year, he had a horrific looking injury on that plant leg. So someone lands too close to that leg again. I'm sure, Johnson doesn't want to go through that unfortunate situation again. I don't blame him for being fired up if, in just a joint practice, you get upset for guys coming at your legs. One guy who got in there to protect Cam Johnston, Connor Hayward, got in there, apparently was, quote, clobbering someone. So love the little meatball there that they call him, getting in there, protecting his punter. Christian Kuntz, the long snapper, he was jumping in on the fight as well. Johnston still trying to get at whatever guy crashed at near his legs. Cortlis Waitman had to pull him off. I assume that was the guy who nearly hit him. So love seeing some fight from the boys, and I love seeing it from, a position that you never necessarily would anticipate a fight to come from in these joint practices. If I had to guess where one would come from today, I'd probably say, Steelers secondary, they'll probably start something. Jalen Ramsey, Brandon Echols, Juan Thornhill, those types of guys. Joey Porter Jr., they're not shy. They're not going to shy away from an opportunity to flap their gums. Also, Steelers offensive line, you got a couple of former wrestlers there and guys looking to prove themselves. I wouldn't have been shocked if some of the offensive line of the Steelers, got more physical past a whistle, but thought it was pretty cool. Cam Johnston starting up the fight today. A couple other things here on the joint practice today. Again, little to talk about because reporters on scene were not allowed to give details on what happened in real time. Mike Evans finished off the 2-minute drive for the Buccaneers today in their against Jalen Ramsey, Evans versus Ramsey. I think that is something that we will see a lot of, in the future, not specifically those two, but Jalen Ramsey going up against the team's number one. More on that here in a little bit once we get to Mike Tomlin's press conference. There is some looking up to, though, to Ramsey. Tampa Bay Buccaneers wide receiver Emeka Egbuka, first-round rookie out of Ohio State, said that the Steelers played a lot of zone coverage today. Facing Jalen Ramsey to him was surreal. Egbuka, the Steelers wide receiver 2 situation. If they didn't go out and get Derek Harmon on draft night, I would have been fine with that as well. Also, he did say Egbuka did, or one member of either team, Joey Porter Jr., limited in practice today. Jalen Ramsey played outside for the most part. Brandon Eccles was in the slot, so hopefully JPJ still isn't dealing with any sort of injury. He had a little bit of some time off during the final weeks of training camp. Hopefully something that will not linger into week 1. And the last thing today from training camp, if Steelers players had to pick out one player who shined today at this joint practice, this one here, not surprising, but still, though, kind of a guy you would not expect to have a big joint practice. I'm glad this guy did. Scotty Miller, wide receiver, looking to fight his way onto the team as a 5th or 6th wide receiver. He, according to other players, the best player on the Steelers to show out there on the field for this joint practice today, going up against his former team that he won a Super Bowl with. Good to see there. So not too much to speak of about this training camp practice today. Again, it's very hard to break this kind of stuff down because reporters were not able to break down what was going on in real time. But Steelers offense winning 7 shots, got to still work on the 2-minute stuff. Maybe we can see some improvement in better results overall come here Saturday night. Gonna real quick take a stroll here through Twitter before carrying on, see if any other new information came out. This right here from Emeka Egbuka, the Steelers defense won 7 shots today, 4-3. I think 4th and 2 from the goal line. Probably a drill slated against the defense sometimes. Still, though, glad to see that the defense won that one. One other thing today at training camp, a bit of a homecoming for a pair of my alma mater, Pitt Panthers, Servassier Dennis and Kalijah Cansey, 2 great defenders that helped Pitt to an ACC championship years ago. Seeing this report here from Allen Saunders, Joey Porter Sr. and Ryan Shazier also down there at Acrisure Stadium today. Cam Hayward also there, and as usual, Cam in street clothes did not participate in the joint practice today. Still doing his hold-in. That has everyone up in arms and upset with Cam. No Calvin Austin, Jonnu Smith, Alex Highsmith, or Y.A. Black today at practice for the Steelers. Black still dealing with a elbow bicep injury of some sort. Austin we haven't seen in a while. Same thing with Jonnu Smith. Alex Highsmith looking to be trending on the right track back to joining the team. So I think that's all we are getting here. Bucs wide receiver Mike Evans won most of his battles against Steelers corner Jalen Ramsey. Someone says here. We'll see about that when real games start. So that is all what went down at Steelers training camp. Their joint practice today. Going to get used to not saying at Steelers training camp here. That is what went down with their joint practice today against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. A little bit of success, but still a lot to work on here heading into Saturday. Speaking of Saturday, we are now going to shift gears before the joint practice today. Mike Tomlin and assistant GM Andy Weidel spoke with the media before practice. Saturday, just like last weekend, do not expect to see any of the key starters or veterans in this lone home preseason game. Tomlin said the same group that was held out of the first preseason game in Jacksonville will be held out versus the Bucs too. That includes, once again, Aaron Rodgers, DK Metcalf, Jaylen Warren, Pat Freiermuth, Jonnu Smith, Isaac Seumalo, Cam Hayward, Patrick Queen, Alex Highsmith, TJ Watt, Jalen Ramsey, Darius Slay, Joey Porter Jr., and Deshaun Elliott. All of those veterans and key starters, once again, sitting out for preseason game number 2. And if I had to sit here and guess, you will not see at least a large majority of that group play in the final preseason game as well down in Carolina. These guys, most of them in action today for this joint practice. That seems to be it for them. Reading the tea leaves here, we will see them back in Steelers pads and helmets when week 1 rolls around. However, Tomlin did not rule anyone out with an injury at this point. If I had to guess, you'll probably see Calvin Austin and maybe Y.A. Black, seeing how he did not participate today, added to that list before Saturday. A couple other notes here from Tomlin. He said it's reasonable to expect the Steelers to, quote, be more varsity in their operations in their second preseason game on Saturday. I think that's just him, expecting a repeat result of what happened last weekend. The Steelers, for a majority of the game, were pretty consistent, getting play calls in, not taking too many penalties, showing, professional lineups and running of plays. So hopefully a repeat of that come Saturday night. Also, Tomlin today spoke on a topic that has arose over the past couple of days, and that is, what will Jalen Ramsey do in this Saturday? Ramsey, just like Tomlin, was on the Pivot podcast hosted by Ryan Clark and a couple of his colleagues a couple days ago. And Ramsey, not sure how Tomlin felt about this on the podcast. Ramsey said that Coach T told him upon arriving in Pittsburgh, or at least arriving at St. Vincent College, 5, he's the guy who's going to get the top guy on a weekly basis. Jalen Ramsey, mano-a-mano, put on an island most of the time against a team's top receiving threat. That is what he said, and that is what Tomlin, pretty much by necessity, said today in his press conference. Said Jalen is going to get it, meaning covering the top premier receiver on the other team. They can hate it, talking about some of the other guys in that room. Darius Slay, another veteran who at one time was one of the best corners in the game, just like Jalen Ramsey. Also talking to Joey Porter Jr., who was the team's one last year. So yeah, Tomlin said Jalen is going to get it. They can hate it, but it's already been decided. So yeah, looks like we're going to see Jalen Ramsey outside more than we initially thought. I mean, with Slay and Porter, we were thinking, all right, when those two guys are out on the field, he'll play some nickel or some safety. He'll occasionally pop outside again and cover an outside receiver, but looks like we're heading towards that being the case. Jalen being mainly an outside guy from the jump in week 1. Few other things here from Tomlin before wrapping up. One extra thing, actually, when it comes to Caleb Johnson, Mike Tomlin, speaking about his third-round rookie from Iowa, said, quote, "I want to see him trust himself more, play more instinctively, and trust his talents." Looking at the tape from last weekend's preseason game against the Jags, Johnson, I think he only rushed for 20 or so yards on 8 carries, something like that. It looks like the game was sped up for him. Maybe he had a little bit of jitters for his first live action of NFL football. Dropped the pass, didn't leak out as a receiver to be an outlet for Mason Rudolph on the play before that. Hopefully we do get to see exactly what Tomlin said right there. Johnson needing to be more instinctively and trust his talents. Get back to the guy that the Steelers drafted out of Iowa, who was hitting holes in zone block runs and taking off for big yardage, showing that explosiveness. Hopefully we see that from 20 here in 2 nights' time. Couple other things here. This time from Andy Weidel, the Steelers assistant GM. I wonder who speaks, anymore to the media more, him or Omar Khan. Such a interesting dynamic those two have. Weidel hit on a ton of topics with his press conference right after Tomlin's this morning. Said that the Steelers wanted to get big and physical this year. No kidding, seeing how they went about the draft. He, of course, mentioned the likes of Derek Harmon and Y.A. Black. He said, quote, "We needed to improve the physicality of our team. We all saw how the season ended last year. We want to be able to be a big and physical team, smash the run and cover, and get our defense off the field." Said nice things about Derek Harmon, like I just said, and Y.A. Black. Y.A. Black especially, Weidel said he is a giant who has a knack of getting PBUs and using his size. Derek Harmon, his first game against the Jaguars, especially with how much pressure he created, was great. So again, going back to the draft, I like those picks at the time. Glad to see that I was on the same wavelength as Andy Weidel and Omar Khan and company. Couple other things here from Andy Weidel. It said that the Steelers are, quote, in the pick business when it comes to the draft. He said the more picks you have, the more swings you have at getting impact players. Weidel says that it adds the Steelers' ability and flexibility over the season and the draft. Right now, Steelers, they are slated to have a ton of draft picks coming up next offseason when the draft is in Pittsburgh. They still have their first, still have their second, and right now I think they are going to have at least 3 third-round picks, possibly even more. They have their original. They got one back from the Dallas Cowboys in the George Pickens trade, and they're also going to get a compensatory third-round pick from Dan Moore Jr. And I think every single round, 4 through 7, beyond the third, the Steelers might, have 1 to 2, maybe even 3 picks, depending on how some other compensatory situations sort out later in the draft. So you're probably looking at the Steelers having around 11, maybe 12 picks right now for this upcoming draft, and they're going to need it, assuming that, let's just say they have another standard Steelers season, go 9-8, 10-7, get bounced in the first round of the playoffs. They're going to be picking in the low 20s again in the draft order. They can use all the draft capital they can get to trade up in the draft for a quarterback in a class that seems to be more better quality, according to Andy Weidel. He referenced the 2026 NFL draft quarterback class as better than the 2025 NFL draft class. I agree with him. We can all be excited. Really, it was Cam Ward and then just a bunch of dudes. No offense to Shadur Sanders or Will Howard. I still have a little bit of hope that there's some sort of untapped upside there with Will Howard. But just looking at next year, the first round is going to be stacked. And I don't even think the Steelers, even though they have a ton of draft capital, you will need to, trade up that far to get a really good one. You're talking about Drew Aller, Garrett Nussmeier, Cade Klubnik, Lenoris Sellers, Sam Levitt, a couple other guys I'm sure I'm forgetting about in there. So a ton of high-profile, high-pedigree quarterbacks coming up here in next year's draft class. Looks like the Steelers' plan all along was to stockpile picks for next year, just like we all easily predicted was happening. Couple other things here from Andy Weidel before we move on to some of the extra Pittsburgh sports news of the day. Weidel, talking about a couple of individual players here today, said Cole Holcomb is going to be a good player for the linebacker depth when talking about the depth of that position. Bringing up Cole Holcomb, I think that's a pretty strong suggestion that he is going to make this 53-man roster. Really, I didn't see where some people were coming from out there saying, oh, watch out, Cole Holcomb could be a cut candidate here for the 53-man roster in a couple of weeks. I mean, you got Peyton Wilson and Patrick Queen. At some point, one of those guys are going to come off the field. I'm not entirely too trustworthy of, sending out Malik Harrison and Mark Robinson in their place. So keeping Cole Holcomb around, a guy who I think can fill that Landon Roberts role from last year, be a downhill thumper in the run. Looks healthy, has shown out well in training camp. Had no idea why he was being mentioned to miss the 53-man roster possibly, but him being mentioned by Weidl seems to solidify his spot on the roster. A couple other players that Weidl talked about. Broderick Jones started off slow in training camp, really came along in the second and third weeks of training camp, had a good preseason debut down there in Jacksonville. Weidl talking about Jones. In the last 2 weeks, as he's gotten healthy, you see him go out there in pass protection to power. It's a matter of repetition to keep growing. He's a young guy, an arrow up guy, just seeing him grow and develop and mature. That last word there, mature, I heard that is another good thing going on with Broderick Jones. Not only is he going back over to his natural and more comfortable side at left tackle, also hearing Jones, first couple, years in the league, wasn't too much of, like a film junkie. I'm not calling him saying like that he was just, mailing it in, but it's just, you could clearly see that he needed to have more focus if he was ever going to live up to his potential. It at least sounds like here, at least before the season right now, that he has matured in that way, is more involved and is more, football focused on a day in, day out basis, when he needs to have that focus. So that's good to hear there. Last player here, Weidl mentioned, Roman Wilson. Talked about him a ton in this year's training camp, looking to maybe pop off here, show some of that potential that he had when he came out of the draft 2 years ago. Weidl shouted him out as someone who has taken a lot of opportunities at wide receiver. Is that opportunity, possibly filling the wide receiver 2 hole in the meantime until maybe someone else comes in here? Does that mean, is he, looking good, better than where he is on the depth chart? Which, by the way, Steelers depth chart number 2 came out today. I do not see too many changes at all to this depth chart, even to the point where Roman Wilson is still WR5 on there. So maybe Andy Weidl saying, hey, Rome has done a ton of good job. We remember, I think it was Mike Tomlin or someone pretty much say, when's Roman going to step up here? And I think he has. And hopefully good stuff like that continues here. Andy Weidl expects that to be the case here from not just Wilson, but from a ton of other of these young players that will be pivotal in the success of this upcoming Steelers season. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, 6 of you in here right now. Welcome to the live stream. I appreciate it very, very much. Go ahead, give me a subscribe on the channel. Trying to get to 500 subscribers here. Also, make sure you turn on notifications so that you never miss when I am live again, whether it be for, nightly live streams like this, recapping the Pittsburgh sports news of the day, or if some massive breaking news, comes along the way, then, hey, if something crazy happens, big trade, big signing, something like that, we're on here immediately. Hit that notification button. It'll pop up on your phone that I am live, and we will break down everything at that immediate time. Also, go like this video, share this live stream, and comment in the comment section any thoughts, questions, or opinions that you may have. We can pop those up on the screen at a moment's notice. Literally anything you guys want to talk about. Another bit of a slow day here in the Pittsburgh news cycle here. Pittsburgh Pirates off today. Pittsburgh Penguins, who the hell knows what's going on there. Eerily quiet on that front. And the Steelers having a joint practice today with the Buccaneers, where not too many of us could, find anything on what went down there. So real quick, going to also mention Go check me out on the following social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, and X, and come back later tonight for a new SCSR60. Before we continue on here, ladies and gentlemen, with the extra Pittsburgh sports news of the day, a little bit of that, some stuff that we, cannot dive too much into, but we will mention it. Let's look at Twitter here real quick, see if we have any new information on what went down today. One quote that stood out to Penn Live Steelers beat writer Nick Farabaugh from Brandon Eccles: "We came out a little flatter than usual when talking about the defense today, really the team overall. Hopefully they do not come out. If you're going to come out flat on any day, probably, today was the best day to do it. Do it in the joint practice, not in any of the games." Looking here if anything else is going on. My goodness, I'm seeing a video here of Scotty Miller reuniting with Mike Evans. I did not know, A, either Mike Evans was that tall, or B, Scotty Miller was that small. Jeez. It's literally the meme of the dude just like looking up to the sky like that. Wow. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are now going to move along here with the extra Pittsburgh sports news stories of the day. Let's stick with the Steelers. Again, not much going on today. Back to the Steelers. Not sure when this picture was taken, but thought it was quite interesting. This looks to be maybe at the Steelers training camp facility in Latrobe. I would think that this was from a couple of days ago. Aaron Rodgers and a couple of other gentlemen sitting down at a table with Dallas Mavericks GM Nico Harrison. Talk about two guys sitting there and chatting that have been under fire from a ton of people in, recent months. Fans and people getting angry about, just pretty much anything Aaron Rodgers does. And Nico Harrison, we remember the Luka Doncic trade in the NBA. I don't follow the NBA that much, but that trade, still crazy there. Thought that was cool, them linking up there. Speaking of linking up, the Steelers and the Buccaneers, not the only two teams holding a joint practice today. Also having a joint practice, the two New Jersey teams, the Giants and Jets, having a joint practice today, or at least yesterday. Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. Still kind of weird seeing those two guys in different jerseys. They, I think, reunite for the first time since they both were here in Pittsburgh last year. Again, just looking here at just the size comparison, you forget how small Russ was. There's a little kid over here to the Russ's right. The kid looks like he's 8 years old, and he's already approaching, shoulder height with Russ. Speaking of crazy, Mary Kay Cabot. And we're going to get into a tiny bit of Cleveland Browns talk here because, why not? They're a Steelers division rival. Mary Kay Cabot, beat writer for the Cleveland Browns. The Browns, in their practice today, they had a 2-point conversion drill in which Dylan Gabriel, their, I believe, third-round pick quarterback out of Oregon, was looking for former Steeler Deontay Johnson, and the pass ricocheted off of Johnson's hands. Now, that would be no new news whatsoever on any given day. Us Steelers fans especially, we all know how frustrating Johnson is in catching the ball. However, Cabot, at the end of that, normally he catches that ball, is her sentence there. That immediately sparked a ton of people replying to her. Normally he catches that. Deontay drops, and he did not, he did not earn that moniker or that title out of just thin air. You should know better than that. Speaking of the Browns, couple updates for them. They will be adding 2 new rookies to their team, one that they drafted and one that they signed today. The Browns, we have, kept close-ish tabs on their training camp, what their quarterback situation is going to do. They still do not look scary. However, today, 2 players who were in a bit of legal trouble have now been cleared of said legal issues. Their second-round running back, Quinshon Judkins, expected to now rejoin the team here within the coming days. Also, did not know that this guy had legal trouble up until a couple of days ago. And he was one of my top 10 wide receivers in this past year's draft class. Isaiah Bond, wide receiver from Texas, he got cleared of some stuff as well. The Browns signing him as well. So it'll be an interesting matchup possibly for the Steelers when they first meet. They could be going up against, aside from maybe Jerry Jeudy, an all-rookie starter, an all-rookie, starting team where Shadur Sanders or Dylan Gabriel is the starting quarterback. Isaiah Bond is a wide receiver 1 and Quinshon Judkins is RB1. Kind of crazy how the Browns have taken an approach to their draft, especially this past year. Let's throw a bunch of things against the wall and see what sticks. A couple other things here for the Pittsburgh Steelers and news on them before signing off tonight. Speaking of former Steelers earlier, we talked about Big Ben. We talked about Russ and Fields. Another former Steeler on the move, one of many this offseason, corner C.J. Henderson, former first-round pick of the Jaguars. I think he only made, a practice squad appearance or 2 with the Steelers last year before getting injured. He is signing with the Carolina Panthers. He is signing with the Atlanta Falcons. My apology. So Steelers will not see him in their last preseason game, like I initially thought. Last few stories here on the Pittsburgh Steelers today. Congratulations to 2 Steelers players who recently became dads, Zach Frazier and Christian Kuntz. Steelers posting today those 2 gentlemen with their new children. Congratulations to them. But unfortunately, the Steelers news stops today with a bit of somber news. Lionel Taylor, 2-time Super Bowl champion, coach, wide receivers coach with the Steelers, passed away yesterday at age 89. Rest in peace to him. Thank you for all that he did. He coached up a ton of fantastic wide receivers over his tenure as the Steelers wide receiver coach. So thank you to him. Condolences to his family and friends at this time. One final news story here for the day today, and it goes to the Pittsburgh Pirates. Nothing really on them today. Still very disgusted with them and their performance in the series against the Brewers earlier this week. I wonder if that guy ever, ate a live parrot like he said he would. If the Pirates got swept by the Brew Crew, not really looking forward to this, series in Chicago against the Cubs. Braxton Ashcraft will be getting another start tomorrow in that ball game. Mike Burrows will get the start on Saturday, and then a TBA pitcher for Sunday's game. Can't wait to see who that is. Looking forward to another rough series there. Let's go to the comments section real quick before logging off tonight. Flacco, salutes. Hope you are doing well. Thank you. Thank you, Flacco. Appreciate it. Doing quite fine. Just a slow day in the Pittsburgh sports world. Not too much to talk about about that Steelers joint practice with the Buccaneers. Players had to confirm what all went down out there. Mike Tomlin and Andy Weidel spoke, and that was pretty much all the news for the day. Nothing for the Pirates or Penguins, but hey, some days you can take it easy, have slow days like this. Other days you're slammed to the wall with 800 different things to talk about. But hey, we'll be back here tomorrow, recapping or finishing up all the news that goes on between now and this time tomorrow. And then after that, Saturday, once again, I will be live with a couple of family members and friends, boots on the ground at the Steelers' lone home preseason game. I will be sure to take some videos and get those up here on the channel come maybe Sunday here, so stay tuned for that. I live in Tampa. That's awesome. Yep. Seems like a good place to live down there in Tampa. One of the better places to live in Florida. But, yep. Flacco, I'm sure you will check it out. Some more content coming this weekend once I get there at Acrisure Stadium. We'll be sure to get some stuff out there on the channel. But until then, tomorrow night, we'll be back, wrap up the week. One more time, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in tonight. Have a good rest of your Thursday night. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications so that you never miss when I am live again. Like this live stream, share this live stream, and comment on it after the fact. Go give me a follow on the following social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, and X at Steel City SR. And come back to SCSR60. But first and foremost, please subscribe to the channel. Trying to get to 500 subs here on YouTube. Thank you all. Have a good rest of your Thursday night. SCSR60 coming up here a little on later tonight. Have a good one. Back here tomorrow, finishing up the week. Peace.